You know, some days I wake up and I hate going to work. I resent work. I resent the job. And so this is something for people who are stuck at a job that they hate. This is not a way to get out of the job. I'm not going to be speaking about that. Actually, what I'm going to do sort of validates some of your feelings because you're on social media, you're on YouTube, blah blah blah. You would hear advice about how to deal with that. You might hear ways about how to be thankful about it. And this is all good and right. I'm not saying that you should not be thankful. I'm not saying that you should not cope with it somehow. But I'm here to say something that nobody has said, which is what you say, what you feel about it is very valid. And it's very valid not because, jobs in general are bad, but because, you see, even if you work, so, I'm making a salary about the median salary in the Midwest. I'm making maybe a little bit even above. And I'm saving about half of it, maybe even a little more or like a little less. So if I keep doing that, if I keep saving half of it, it would take me decades. And I might and might not be able to afford to buy a house, I'm saying without a mortgage. You know, so the situation is the economy right now in the West, I'm not sure about other parts of the world, but in the West, you cannot, so the value of the dollar has been so diminished that it's almost meaningless. People are working there. You go to work, you come back, and it's tiring. And those bosses, those companies, they want more and more. They want more profit. The stock gotta go up. You know, and so they're cutting staff. You're short staffed. And you're making just enough to survive, right? Now this basically is slavery. I don't know if you've seen this kind of short cartoon thing. So it's basically like where all the Romans where they got all their slaves free, but then they told them like, oh, okay, then you would need houses now, right? So these these houses are like $7, right? And they're like, well, we don't have money. Like, oh, you don't have money? Where you can come work with us. You can come work um in the quarry, and you can make about seven bucks. And I'm like, wait, so we're working $7, so we're working to get $7 to pay $7, and then they were like, wait, okay, make it $8. So okay, so it's slavery with extra steps, right? So it's like you are working so that they give you money so that you can spend on just being alive, so you can go back to work. So, you're not getting out of this. So it's like, you can just remove all the money out of it and just working the whole time constantly, not being able to move upwardly whatsoever. And even beyond that, so, many people working could be really marvelous scientists. They could be marvelous engineers. They could be inventing things, but they can't because they're stuck at this job. And this is not a coincidence. This is by design. You see, big companies, they don't like competition. This is the issue here. So the monopolies, like, so it's everything been so monopolized that like, let's say Walmart, it does not have to compete right now because it kills any small businesses. If it sees a place where it's developing a small grocery business, it just goes there and makes a branch there so it can kill it. Why? Because they don't want competition. You see, these big companies, they don't want competitions. They don't want inventors. They don't want business owners. They don't want people who succeed because that will take in from their profits. And they can't afford that. They have. It's because the whole system is built on stocks going up because people are buying stocks, betting on it. Getting more pricey. So if you buy it for $10, so you're hoping that it get to $11, so you can sell it for profit, or it appreciates, and then you can borrow against it. Um, so yeah, this society is built for slavery at this point. Just with extra steps. You can call it what you want to call it. But as long as you have no upward mobility, you have no way of getting out of this. being forced to do menial jobs, while, especially if you're able to do more, if you're able to invent, but you can't find the time. Heck, you can't even get married now. Like, so, maybe in the past, maybe people, you would think of all the serfs and people who lived in medieval Europe, and some people could compare, well, we have it better than them, but at least they could get married, they could have families. We don't even have that right now. With this new generation, we don't have families, we don't have nothing. We don't, this all sucks. So it's very reasonable, when you wake up every day and be like, you know what, I hate going to my job. I don't like going there. I mean, it's, I wouldn't blame your specific job. I wouldn't blame your specific company. It's the whole system. It just needs a rehaul. But yeah, I'm just saying it's very reasonable that you have this feeling. It's very normal. It's very natural. The society is sick. It's not you. Now you might need to deal with it somehow. You might choose to escape it somehow. Everybody tries to work their way around it or deal with it. But the reality is that this feeling is very normal, it's very natural, and it could it kill us all. This might be one of the reasons why people are not having babies, like indirectly. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, you see, like how you define a living things. So a living thing has to reproduce. You see, I forgot all the factors that that would be required for a thing to be considered living. But one of the factors is that it has to be able to reproduce. So if you have a population that is not reproducing, what does that say about this population? It means it's sick. It means its life force, that its status of being alive, its life, it's not very lively. It's a dying population. It's a dying society. They're not reproducing because it's sick. Because it's basically all the corporate having a lot of just stress on the population. Corporate world is putting a lot of stress on us, and it's causing the population to dwindle down. And then people coming from maybe overseas, coming from other places, where they might have it worse in some other ways, but their societies are not as sickened. They have better families. They have, like their quality of life is actually better. They eat more real food, and they happen to have more babies. Now, don't be, I'm not that kind of guy who's going to say, so, but what happens, those people, they come here and it happens to them like what happens to people here, So you get people coming from, let's say, India, right? Now, their dad had maybe 4 or 5 kids. They come in here, they have 2 kids. Their kids maybe have 1 kid, so this is not like an ethnicity thing. I don't think so. It's partially a culture thing, and it's most definitely a society thing. So, if you don't feel like going to your job, just know, that this is your body and everything about you is working as it should. You should feel this way. There's nothing wrong with it. And frankly, if you quit your job, if you do, you have all the right to do that. And, it's very normal and it's very natural. Nothing inherently wrong with it. To be sick of being in this sort of situation, But yeah, I just wanted to say that. Thank you.